Do you ever struggle to find the motivation to train? On today's episode, we get into that and why you should continue to train and the why behind the reason you started training in the first place. So tune on in. I hope you guys enjoy the show and check out www.fdcpodcast.com for more things FDC and to support the show. So we all have different reasons why we do jiu-jitsu, why we train for jiu-jitsu. So Scott, why do you like to train? Why do you train for jiu-jitsu?
Well, why I chose to train, why I keep training? Yeah. This is a good question, man. I'll go back to, I guess, my origin stories, for jiu-jitsu and getting into martial arts in general. But, when you ask the question, and I can probably make this entire episode about myself, which I won't do, but I could, because I could give that answer's, it's a long answer, but I'd say like the quick, I think, honest answer is for me, when I started training 21 years ago, when I was 18, and there's like a what I like about this too, this concept is like the why. I think hopefully for people listening to, and for ourselves for a little bit here, we can kind of go like a little bit deeper on our psychology in a cool way. And for me to touch upon that, and like I said, I'm not going to go all the way to the depths of my childhood and psychology, but I will touch on some of it because I think that would just take too long, and we're going to make this episode like a therapy thing for me. But so for me, like I said, I was 18. I graduated from high school, and this is the direction I'll take it. I was a pretty competitive swimmer, but I never really gave a shit about the sport. I just did it because this is key to my story. It was like a sport that my parents put me in. And I played a bunch of other sports growing up, but like every sport you can think of: baseball, basketball, all that. Never really liked soccer. I was never very good at it. I always wanted to use my hands, but I just bring that up because swimming was the one that I did the most, and I was competitive at it. And there was like, I'll never forget this. Like I was in high school, and I started getting like scholarship offers for college for swimming, but I just didn't really care about swimming that much. But I remember having this moment where I was like, damn, dude, I'm actually pretty good at this. People are like offering to pay for school for it, but I don't really want to continue doing it. I don't like it that much. But then again, a scholarship would be nice. And I'll never forget because like throughout all of that, like I swam consistently from the age of 6 until 18 every year. And while I was competitive at it, there were people who were doing it who like invested more, who like just clearly worked harder than I did, who always beat me. And I would like on talent and some degree of work compete with these dudes. I'd beat them sometimes. I'd get beat some other times. And then there were dudes out there who just like their work just stood out. And like naturally they were bigger and like
they
like
wanted
body.
it more.
Well, I'd say that's a bit of like the context, but like some of these guys were just like built for swimming.
Yeah.
Plus they also outworked me like a ton. And those guys always beat me. I would get close, but they would just consistently always beat me. I remember thinking like, I had this moment where I was like, comfortable with my choice of like, I never really cared about swimming enough to like really want to do it a lot. But I remember thinking like having this moment of like, dude, if I'd have tried harder, I could have maybe gotten a little more out of the sport of swimming. And while I'm fine not doing that, because it's never really something I was that passionate about. For me, when I got out of high school and I was like, I'm done with swimming, I was actually coaching swimming. So I still like being around, and I enjoyed that process and everything and being around the team. Like there's a lot of great things about it, just the sport itself. I just liked being fast.
Yeah.
I like quick. I like looking at the times. I like the numbers. I like the improvement. I like the competition aspect of it. Which, we'll come back to, I guess, in jiu-jitsu. But the reason I bring it up is like when I graduated and I like, as a kid, I was always like into like, I loved like anything involving violent fighting movies and like cool punching and kicking and shit, like Jet Li movies and shit, like martial arts shit, Arnold Schwarzenegger beating the shit out of everyone. I was like, all right, dude, like I want to know how to fight. I was 18. They say you're a man when you're 18. Anyways, and I was like out of the house. I'm like, I need to like grow up. Like I had a family friend who had, and I had, expressed some interest in martial arts, and a buddy who had done it, who kind of like pointed me towards what was my first gym. But I say all that to say that I after that, I wanted to still have a sport, something athletic and something cool to learn, like martial arts. It had always been on my mind, and that just, I kind of got lucky. It just kind of came to me at a time, and I was like, this sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. I went and I did it, and once I took like my first, it was actually, I went in for judo because I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. This is in 2005 in Kentucky. There was jiu-jitsu, but it wasn't like as big and mainstream as it is now. But I went in and I talked to the owner of the gym. Shout out to Mike O'Donnell, who is a truly unique and amazing, cool as hell human being. Subject for another day. Very interesting, awesome guy. I did a private lesson with him, and he was like, yeah, look, you can come here. We have judo at this gym. That's no problem. We got that if that's what you want. He said, you should consider checking out jiu-jitsu. He's like, it's kind of picking up. It's going to become the new thing. Like,
I've been hot new thing we got.
Seriously, that's what it was. He was like, you should try that too. And he's like, we got a bunch of that. So like, we have a little bit of judo, but you should consider that. I was like, all right, cool, man. And he's like, it's with your membership, so like, you should do it. So I did. And I remember doing it. And obviously, like most people, when you first do it, you're bad at it. But I remember thinking like, ooh, I want to know how to do this stuff. Like,
this is so cool.
Yeah, I just remember thinking like, this is something I want to be good at. Yeah. And that's what it was for me. It was like, I chose, once I was exposed to it, I decided I wanted to do that. And so I referenced the swimming story because I remember thinking, as time went on, I was like, dude, this is like, since I'm choosing this sport, this martial art, and like, I want to get the most out of it. I don't want to like look back one day like I did with swimming and say, fuck, man. Like if I'd have tried a little bit harder, I could have done a little bit better. So I think I say that to say maybe the challenge of it. I mean, it's, when people listening to this, and we now obviously know intimately like what this martial art involves, but I remember like observing like, whoa, dude, this is like, it's like you wrestle with dudes and then like you get them to tap out. I'm like, fuck yeah. If I want to be good at anything, I want to be the best at this I can possibly be. This is exciting. I was all in on wanting to do it. And then my investment in it scaled up as time went on. But yeah, I guess that's my story there. Was like, this is cool. I chose it rather than it being chose for me, like most sports when you're a kid by your parents. And so my thing was, and as time has gone on, I've tried to invest as much as I possibly could in it. But that's my thing. My thing is like, I want to do as best I can in this and be the best I possibly can at it.
I said my current why, but like I have a similar origin story with like high school sports, getting out of high school sports. And like, I mean, I had always wished I started wrestling sooner. And so like, I mean, I came from wrestling so there was a slightly different transition, right? Like it was a little more linear.
Yeah.
But swimming, I didn't have to get out of a pool to do the sport. But
I was so ready to get out of the pool.
But that like, I mean, you might have felt it too. Like there's like a hole when you're not competing, like that like gap, right? Like you feel like there's some missing aspect. Mm-hmm. Because I started jiu-jitsu in college as well, and that like space, like I didn't start until later in like the first semester, so I had like a couple. I mean, I had from whenever I dislocated my knee. I guess I still wrestled some in the summer, but
of course you did with a dislocated knee.
Post dislocated knee,
I healed my knee.
Basically, like at least 6 to 8 months of no like competitive sport. And then I was like, I like need something. But I initially got into jiu-jitsu to do MMA, mm-hmm. But like the thing that drove me there was like, I need this gap in my being to be filled by some thing, and I need to find like a new competitive sport to like hone in on or like have something to focus on. And that was what jiu-jitsu became. And we've talked about obsession and all of that. There was definitely obsession involved, but like that competitive sport, something to, I mean, I competed within like the first month or two.
Yeah, you've told that story. I like that story.
But, I needed that and like structure. I mean, fight camps and stuff, but like something to hone in on and focus on and try to like solve, because like problem solving and like puzzles and stuff is
challenges,
all like,
man.
yeah, something hard, challenging, competitive to like focus energy on. And that, so like similarly to you, like that was what kind of drew me into it. And like I initially was like, oh, I just need to like learn some jujitsu so I can fight. And then I mean, I ultimately just fell in love with the jujitsu aspect of it, because like getting hit in the head sucks. So you know, if I could do it, I wouldn't have changed anything. It was fine. The way it all played out is great. But I would, you know, I needed that aspect of it, was what brought me to it. And like that's, I mean, that's still part of it, but you know, some of the, I guess that's the why the motivation is slightly changed, right? Like, because the motivations, there is a separation between motivation and like why you do something.
Yeah.
So like the motivation and like why I do it now has evolved from that initial reasoning. And like, so now it's still the challenge and the problem solving is still part of it. Now there's a little bit of like, a little bit of outward motivation as well. Like I want to show these people in my life that this is, you can do hard things, but ultimately it all still kind of inwardly, selfishly is around that one, filling that hole in my being, I guess.
I get it.
The missing part, trying to rebuild a missing part of my soul or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's most likely what mine is too, man. For me, like just to add to it a little bit, like I actually didn't start competing until like I'll say late in quotes in my tenure. It's been a long time, but I had competed a little bit. I actually competed in judo a couple times when I was still a white belt. And then I did a few jiu-jitsu tournaments around blue belt. And then I moved to DC, and like I moved around a little bit, so I wasn't as consistent on the mat. And then in Virginia, around brown belt was when I decided, and this is, I guess, like to your point, like if we're talking about the roots of like our souls that pushes us to do this stuff, for me, and I think this is still kind of my call to action on the like doing the best I possibly can. And early on, I was just trying to like get better at the martial art and just kind of enjoying it for what it was. You know, let's say white through purple belt. And you know, I'm the kind of guy who like for something to like, he's the kind of guy who's got some ADD and ADHD and all the versions of that. And so it's, you know, it was like as time went on, it was like the only consistent thing that I wanted to do all the time. You know, I'll have interest in all sorts of other things. Like any person with ADD, I'll get like really sidetracked on like a movie or a book or like a historical thread that I'll read a bunch of shit on. I'll get super excited about and I'll go deep on it.
No, I get it.
Right? Yeah, of course you get it. But this was, I'm like, but the one thing I kept on doing was jiu-jitsu, and I kept on wanting to do it. And I was like, so I say that to say, like, for me, like what I've tried to do, or what I say tried to do, maybe it just kind of happened to me, is like I've continually just keep making deposits into my jiu-jitsu account. Just keep on pushing it a little bit more. Like I decided around brown belt, and you know this because it's like around the time we started working together a lot. This was like 13 or 14 years ago.
The circuit hard together.
Yeah, that was when I wanted like that. I remember like I didn't think that, I didn't know when I started that I'd make a career out of it, or that you even could, for that matter.
I mean, it was very difficult at that time to outside of the path,
the business
part
path.
of but outside of that, there wasn't like, even that was still somewhat shaky at the time.
Yeah,
compared to it is
totally. And quite frankly, there wasn't a lot of competition back then. There were competitions, especially around here. To contrast that with Kentucky, which is just not as like, it's not a metropolitan area. Like there's not as, where I was in central Kentucky wasn't like it's not as dense. There's not as much of a prevalence of the community to like constantly have competitive opportunities. And there were a lot more in this area when I moved up here. And I say that to say that at that, around that phase, because I wasn't like, we were kind of the competitive culture of that gym of Nova MMA. There weren't dudes doing that, so we kind of had to like spearhead it.
Yeah, we chose
to do it.
It worked. Yeah, like there wasn't like,
it wasn't a competitor gym where like everyone does this. It was sort of like let's kind of make this push.
And we were in a position too to create it because we were the top of the grappling program, so we had the kind of the leeway to build that competitive culture as well. Which most of those guys competed but almost everyone, the exception, like less people fewer people didn't compete than competed, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I guess
at the end of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, and my choice was around, like, I think I remember having this like decision or this like thought process of like, well, okay, like, I mean, okay, well, I'm coaching, like I'm a head coach, which, in quotes. So I need to continue my development too, to continue to like have something valuable to share to people. And so it just made sense. I was like, well, like, I guess I have to go compete now. I got to go out there and sort of like face the unknown and figure out what more I can gain. Because there wasn't really a head coach giving me advice at that time. I had to seek out, my coaches were spread out. So I had to like do that kind of almost like virtually. So in a lot of ways, it was like that was the only way for me to go out and like continue my progression to then have something valuable. Because like if like an object in motion tends to stay in motion, like if we stop doing that, well then I don't think you have to compete necessarily. I think it's the best possible way. I'm sure we're going to talk about this a lot in this episode. I think it's the best way to continue learning.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're in a coaching position, right? Like it's not the only way to do it. Like there's a lot of other ways to seek out new information. But I think it's the best way to learn. And so that was my position and my decision. I was excited and like challenged and kind of nervous about it. I'm like, I'm going to go be a competitor now. That's what I was saying about like continuing to make more deposits in the bank of jiu-jitsu, of like, I want to get a little more out of this. I want to get a little more out of this. I think I can do a little bit better. I can do a little bit better. I can do a little bit better. So that's, in an environment where we weren't being like, there were not, like you said a moment ago, it wasn't like everyone in the room was already doing this.
Yeah.
It was sort of like, let's go do this for everyone else in the room and for ourselves, of course, because that will pay dividends down the road. And so I think even just since then, it's like that's been my, I guess my motivation continue to do this stuff is like, I think I can do a little more. I think I can do a little better. Just keep pushing myself a little bit.
Yeah. And that's the motivation aspect of it, because we have the why and like the motivation of like, I'm doing this to achieve getting better, right? Like I want to get better at jiu-jitsu, so I'm going to keep doing jiu-jitsu, and I'm want to get better because of this core reason why, right? And I mean, another, just to frame as well, the motivation to compete is especially driven when you don't have someone that you can learn from every day, right? Like if you're dedicating more of your mat time to, well, outside of just like drilling, but there's not like the mat time where you're explicitly learning, you might still be getting better, but you're not learning.
Right.
That going out and competing, I mean, especially like when we were teaching every class, right? Like there were fewer classes that we were students in than we were teaching at the time, and probably even now, right? I mean, you still learn from roles and whatever,
but it's different. You're right.
But so you have this opportunity when you compete to learn something, which is a whole other topic, but you have this opportunity to like battle test it and learn things from those moments of like live and almost like high stakes interaction with the sport and with like another battle tested competitor, right? Like someone else who's game to sit to like,
they want to beat you.
They want to beat you. You get to try it out, and you'll actually learn a lot doing that. And so, that's helps when your motivation for training is to continuously get better. That competition, especially when you don't have someone to learn from, is the way that you learn, right? Like that's
well said.
Yeah.
Well
so, that kind of fills the gap of having an instructor who's instructing you every day, because you don't have someone who's like correcting your stuff all the time because you're the one that's doing that, right? So it gives you that opportunity for that, like, oh shit, like I need to do this stuff's I'm not doing these things correctly. Let's fix it and let's do it again. Let's fix it. Let's do it again. And you get like this opportunity to do that through competition. So like it helps you meet, I guess I'm explaining the motivation.
Yeah,
for that,
dude,
like
you're saying exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly what, spot on, dude.
And so, that's our reasoning, right? And just to reiterate the difference. So like the why that we're discussing here is the reason for getting into the sport in like the core driving aspect. The motivation is probably more current. And it's what is supported by the why to drive your training forward. So at least that's how I'm defining it.
I think it makes sense.
I think I don't know if that's fully textbook, but it seems close enough.
Yeah, it does.
And so like that's our reason. There's plenty of other reasons out there. Like you have people that the reason why is they want, and we talked about this on another episode, where the reason why is they want to be able to defend themselves in, just a random situation out in public. Or there's people that just want to learn stuff. They just like learning. Some people just like to learn new things. There's some people that kind of enjoy this. I mean, similarly, but people that are into the problem solving aspect. There's people that some people just like the general frustration of learning new things. This was a new one that came up in my messages the other day. And we're like, guys, like, I don't think I would like this if I wasn't so frustrated by it. I'm like, yeah. So, some people enjoy that aspect
of it. The complexity of it.
Yeah. Some people, I don't know, I imagine there's people that like beating people up. There's people that like getting beat up. I don't know. Well, you know what I mean? Like there's all those tons of other reasons.
Yeah. I think all of those things, I respond to all of those things too. And then maybe at any given point in the last like 21 years I've done it, any one of those could have been like the number one, we'll say motivating factor at any given time. But yeah, those are all like selling points. This episode's about selling jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But it sells itself. That's the cool thing about it. I think all of those things. And you made this comment earlier about how like the maybe the why or the motivation, if it's like a Venn diagram, they overlap or whatever. Like these things will they'll evolve or expand as time goes on, or maybe it even contracts down to like one construct. You have an even simpler answer as time goes on too. If you do this long enough,
shift, and I'm sure there's times where it will separate, and that's probably that's where people get.
There have been lots of times too where I haven't felt super motivated to do it, but like interestingly enough, I guess my why took over because I've only done more and more jiu-jitsu over the last 21 years. Like I look at my calendar, the amount of time I've been on the mat. A lot of that has to do with owning an academy, but it's like that's what I want to do, whether I'm aware of it or not. And like maybe some days I'm like frustrated and in physical pain, but I'm still doing it like 25. I'm on the mat a ridiculous amount of times.
Well, I'm sure this
is where I want to be.
Well, I'm sure that you run into this too, where like there's days, and you mentioned there's days we're not motivated, but there's days like you don't have the motivation to do it, but you like have to remind yourself why you do it. And so like that's what puts you back on the mat. So like that's the real like powerful force of getting you out there. The force, it's back.
It is the force. You're right, man. And like with that plus, I also think, and like you'll hear like there's like all kinds of athletes, and there's like in the day and age of social media, there's like a trillion motivational / like role model type people posting shit about motivation. You got to like have the discipline, which is all true. You just have to do it. I mean, I think the good thing about like the last 21 years and me choosing to make a career out of this is that now it's like my job, which is I don't negotiate with myself. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we're just doing it. I can't not do it.
Yeah.
If I'm sick or I'm truly injured, all right, cool. When that happens, but like you just have to hold yourself accountable. And it's a privilege to be able to do these things. It's like it's pretty cool. So like any day that I don't feel motivated, it's like that's just my problem. I'll deal with it because I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah.
Coach, train, whatever. Like it's just a job. I'm gonna do it. And we've talked about the days where you feel flat and you're like, all right, maybe I downshift that. Like maybe this is a like day to like I'm overtrained or my knee's a little fucked up, so I'll modify what I'm doing. Like you'll have those days, but you still show up.
Yeah.
And it gets easier.
Yeah, it definitely gets easier. And but I mean all of that is to frame that like find just, give yourself a little quiz, right? Like, why are you doing this? And it will ultimately help you continue doing it, right? Like if you kind of forget or you never really go through that thought exercise of like why you're doing jiu-jitsu, think about it, right? Like think back to like, why did you sign up after that trial class? and then that kind of go through all those things, all the things like you like about it, and figure out why you're doing it, and ultimately it'll help you find that motivation over and over again. And so that'll help you like focus in and direct your why will help you focus in and direct towards motivation, which will help you get back on the mats like every, whatever your cadence is, but over and over again. You can also like talk to your coach, right? So the meat of this episode is using the why and the motivation to direct your training. Okay. That's kind of where I want to get this to. And so if you know why you're doing it, and your motive, and that why is creating a motivation for you, you can take that and focus and direct your training to have you can use the motivation and the why to create a measurable success, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and for some people this might be daunting, but and this might be something you have to do with your coach. You might not be able to figure this out alone, but you can create a measurement of what is success from my training. Like what is the goal that I'm trying to reach, knowing that this is why I do it and this is what motivates me to do it. So how do I measure that I'm successful in my training? It doesn't have to be, if your motivation is to get a black belt in something, cool, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But that's a goal, right? Like that's an easy translation. Like if your why is that you enjoy attaining knowledge, your motivation is to attain enough knowledge to reach the top, like have all of it, I guess, or have a mastery in the sense of knowledge of the sport, and your goal is to reach black belt. You can now take these things and direct your training from point A to point whatever. There's more than one, but you can direct your training to achieve your goal, knowing your pathway can be set using those 3 points, right? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
So let's do that for ourselves. let's use ourselves as examples here, right? So both of us have similar whys of the kind of like competitive spirit and problem solving. Similar, there's a very similar why and motivation involved there. So we can almost do this once. Maybe different goals,
ours,
but like
I mean, ours are probably pretty similar, but if you're taking the why and like the big picture perspective and bringing it down to like day in, day out habits and behaviors on the mat, right?
Yeah, I'm saying right? We'll create the
your training plan. I get what you're saying.
We'll create a seams fusion of the two of us.
Sure.
And have create like one one pathway, so we don't just create an example of doing this, and then we can get deeper into it.
For sure, right? And so, and while we may have fairly unique, bigger picture goals to contrast with a lot of other people who are on the mat with us, who may have similar but different goals, or to a lesser degree or whatever. But if we're going to I'll speak for myself. Back to what I was saying earlier about like kind of doing the best I can. I mean, because I have a career investment in this, and I've chosen that. What I'm going to get to, I'll work kind of like what you just said. I'll kind of talk myself backwards into like the day-to-day habits, and then we can kind of, if there's something to be gained from that like process, we can make that applicable to any person listening. But because of what I said a second ago about having this like decision that was made to have a career in this martial art, and like many careers, and this is like a bit of an emerging market, I'll say too, like the martial arts in the United States, like making a career out of it, which, in my case, and probably most people's cases, means like having a gym or finding a way to monetize it. It's not like it's like you go to college and you get a degree and you just get hired by a company.
Yeah.
It's different, right? You have to like build your own path in a lot of ways. So I say that because I have And you definitely have. And like the people listening now, like they're coming in, we've said this from house, like they got it so good. There's like definitely, there's so many ways to monetize this, but like there's been years and years and years and years and years and years and months and years of just me spending money and time on this martial art, like making deposits in the bank, man, making the investments and getting like virtually no money in exchange for it. Until you get to a point where you know how to monetize it, like an academy or something like that. It's just like simply put. But so I say that because like I think you have to have, at least in my case, you just have to have like a certain love of what you do, to be kind of willing to do that. But with that, I think there are many rewards you can get from that, and you can make money. Like there's definitely a business model for it. You just got to go build it, and you got to be willing to kind of like fight, literally and metaphorically, to make that a success. But as I indicated earlier about like I say that because like with my career choice to like be, ultimately my business model is on being a coach, right? Like instructing people, and that's what they pay me for, to teach them this martial art. And I've been paid to compete and other stuff like that, but like the bulk of the business model is around being an instructor. Now, the funny thing about that, in my opinion, is like however you want to frame it, and for the purposes of what we talked about earlier, where like I am the head coach. Therefore, my continued progression to me points to going out and competing too, because that's where I'm going to, I'll cross train, I'll absorb lots of knowledge with other academies, but like day in, day out, when I'm on the mat, barring instances where I'll go to someone else's class and I get to take a chance and listen to another coach. But like, even then, if it's my gym, I'm still kind of paying attention to everything. I'm watching, I'm making, kind of keep an eye on that coach. Yeah. But it's like, you can't really turn that off. You're still thinking about everyone else, even if you get a slight reprieve from having to completely wearing the coach's hat for like that hour.
Yeah. You're not allowed to be
I can't be
completely selfish.
Correct.
Yeah. You have to kind of be,
So with that said, like, I think like the true progression for people in that position is to go out and compete. And I also, like we've talked about, I feel like I have an obligation to the people who pay me, to extract as much wisdom and knowledge and skill by doing that as possible. Because while yes, that's for me, it's also for them. And I'll be able to do a better job. And I think it's symbolic in a lot of ways too. I think it kind of shows these people that you're willing to put yourself on the line to go do this stuff. And so I say that to say, like, if that's my mat time, I feel like I've talked about this on the show before, but in the past, like if I labeled all of in a hierarchical, like a list format, like top down, the goals or like the different roles you'll have in a position like mine are linear in nature, but they're all aligned. Like being a business owner, a head coach, a manager of other coaches, still a student and a competitor. It's like, to me, it's like, I think all of that kind of, at least at this point in my life, kind of points to, I have to continue to go compete, to do a better job at all of those things.
Yeah.
Because it educates me on what each of those listed out duties, it educates me more on what each of those levels or so, dots, bullet points on a sheet, need to hear or be briefed on. Like, I feel like the knowledge that comes from the competition path, like it helps at every level there.
Would you say that
so the behavior patterns lend towards basically, I mean, there's many tasks, but that's like the main task that fuels everything else. So it's a hard job, but it keeps you like oriented in one direction, which is like, I just got to keep getting better. And that makes me better at the other things that I do, which then helps my team get better, which then helps my students get better.
Yeah, the competition isn't the goal. The competition is the means of attaining.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, and it can be a goal.
Yeah,
but and this was a really
it's not the ultimate goal. Yeah,
that's a philosophical question, my friend.
It's a lot. It's a tough steps one along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about I just want to do the best I possibly can, and that's a good way for me to judge. Because as my skills have increased, and this is something that I'm sure you've noticed this too, it's like as you get better within your environment, I think for me at least, the call to action, the call to adventure has been to go test that in a different environment. Yeah. I mean, a bigger environment, and then a bigger environment. And like, if I continue to see success, I got to keep going until I start, running into the roadblock. And then at that roadblock, I have an obligation to say, I got to figure this out. If I got to try. to get better at it. Because I believe I can. And if I can, and I learn how to do that, well, wouldn't that be something cooler than share with everyone else on my team?
Yeah, now you have something to bring back. And so like, especially with how you've laid that out, right? You have the business side, you have the coaching, the mentoring, I'm gonna say, and overseeing like the other coaches.
Yeah, right? It's like the coaching of the coaches.
Yeah, it's like you have
the coaching of the
coach aspect. So that's the coaching of the students. You have the mentoring, the coaching of the other coaches, the business aspect, and the competitor aspect, right? Like, and if you to become the best at all of those, right? Like you're trying to become the best version of Scott or the best version of Mike in those aspects of things.
Yes,
that you have to continuously battle test and try and work on it until you reach
struggle publicly, by the way,
your peak, right? Yeah. Like it, because I think that the best version of yourself is a really good way to frame it too, because it's not about being like the best in the world. It would be really cool if that's the best version of myself, but the best in the world that's not really the goal, right? Like it would be a really cool
thing to do,
but like really I think it's a good way to frame it that you're saying there too, like being the best that you can be versus like I need to be better than somebody else is a much because that's like an attainable goal, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's better measurement.
I'd say it's probably a more long-term motivating thing, because it's like, the good and bad thing about that is you're never going to finish it.
Yeah.
But that's also life, right? Like I think if we stop trying to do that, then we kind of decay.
Yeah.
Become complacent. And like you said, and the people around us.
Some philosopher said that. I'll find out who it's
find out,
but
I'd be curious.
Stagnation is death, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's true. And just one other thing on that too, that you mentioned earlier that I'll kind of link with what I was saying too, is like there's like I think the underlying aspect of all that too, and you mentioned this earlier about it.
Leonard Sweet.
Fucking Leonard Sweet, dude.
And Ellen Hopkins also said something like that. Also, and Frederick Douglass.
And me and you said that.
We have now said it. Frederick Douglass was probably the one I was thinking. Inaction is followed by stagnation. Stagnation is followed by pestilence. And pestilence is followed by death. Because I don't know, that sounds cool as shit.
That does sound cool as shit. That sounds like what Yoda said about the dark side.
Yeah.
Remember this thing? And hate leads to hate. I've tried to quote him a bunch of times.
Fear leads to
hate or something.
Hate leads to fear.
Yeah.
I'll find that one too.
Please do.
You were on a train of thought though. You keep going.
What I was going to say was I think there's also like this, like maybe this is like an articulation of like why I like doing it, is there's like a continued problem solving that you mentioned earlier about saying like, all right, well, like, I started off just wanting to compete and like kind of get some information there. And then I started winning a little bit, but I'm starting losing a little bit too. It's kind of like 50-60% win rate. So mostly winning, but still losing a lot. And I'm like, well, I can do a little bit better than that. And then like you get promoted and you're like, all right, well, how do I do at this level? Then you're like, okay, doing pretty good, but I can do a little bit better. Then you push there and you keep pushing. Then you're like, well, I got third in the world. Well, now I got to get first in the world. Oh, then how many times can I get first? You know what I mean? Like you do these things, but really it's an example for, again, like in the position that I'm in, and you in as well as a coach too. Like for people who like follow your classes and like follow your leadership, there's like the demonstration to these folks that you are trying to improve. You're trying to continually solve problems, because like I said, like in the hierarchy of like all the different jobs that I have, all I'm really doing at any given time, any given day is like just solving lots of problems and making decisions. So I think it helps with all of those things. By the way, because I do want to address to the root of your actual purpose in bringing this up, which is like all of that said, this does then lend towards how I spend my time on the mat. Which, like you and like a lot of other folks, I mean, I have, like I said, I'm doing, this is probably the if I had like a stack of hats that I wear, this would be the top hat, but every hat underneath it gets the benefit of that. That's the nature of it. I was in that list of things in like a flagpole order, top down. If the main purpose of the way I spend my martial arts training and my training off the mat is to prepare me for more better and higher level jiu-jitsu performance in a competitive setting, which it is, that does dictate how I train day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out.
Yeah.
Which informs me. And I like that because we've talked about this lots of times, and hopefully this is maybe a more thorough discussion on that thread, which when you do that, I think it when you have a true you can call it long-term or medium-term or whatever. Like you have like a more intentional goal behind the time you spend training on the mat. It informs you a little bit more of how to behave on the mat, which I think gives you to what you were mentioning at the very beginning. It's like better. Perhaps it's outcomes if you want to think of it that way, or like how you want to use your time on the mat. And this requires some discipline because there are definitely days I'm on the mat and I feel like I just kind of just existed.
You just showed up.
And like a lot of this, like you mentioned, someone just wants to get a black belt. Like for what it's worth, I would say it's a rather simple goal. You can do that. Show up on the mat 3 to 5 days a week for about 10 years. You'll get a black belt.
Yeah.
If you're in front of your coach. Doesn't mean it's easy, but that's simple. 3 to 5 days a week for about 10 years. And you can do things to speed that up, but like
some goals will be simpler, right? Some of them, some whys and some goals will have a simpler way of achieving. In which case, you just find new goals. Like the goal is temporary. That
goal is temporary. The goals should change.
The why is really the only permanent part of this, right? Like the why is permanent. The motivation will
comes and goes
and drift around, and
hopefully mostly stays.
But sometimes you'll have a new motivation. Sometimes you have multiple motivations. Sometimes, but all of it, like that, as long as you maintain your why, you'll find those other things. And like, even if you attain the goal, right? You reach your goal, you get whatever that thing is.
That's the tricky thing with goals.
You'll find another one.
You'll find another one.
Because you have that.
Because now you're the guy who likes hitting goals.
Yeah.
And like once you hit the goal, you just want the next goal.
You still have the why. As long as the why is constant, you'll find those other things.
That's right.
Because you'll still be hungry, dude. You're gonna be hungry for that next one.
It's never gonna end.
That next one, and it's endless. And then it's similarly to what you were talking about. With like you get that. All right, my goal is to be the best me. That's a moving goalpost, right? You were mentioning like the day to day, right? And if I'm training for, because I have goal wise, it kind of is similar.
Yes.
Like I want to be the best version.
You want to win at a higher level and higher level, and higher level,
and so that I can disseminate that information down, be better, and like better perform my my job, right? Like as an athlete, as a coach, as all
sorry
these
to step on
aspects.
your toes, but like it's not just selling jiu-jitsu, it's selling competition in jiu-jitsu, which we will do day in, day out. But
we will do it every time.
It teaches you so much more about like you'll really learn. Like I do think that competing teaches you, like, this may be like a crude example, but like one competition, and if you're paying attention to how it goes and what you learn from it, is like it's months, if not years, of training wisdom. If you really do your job to like understand it, so it's like you're on this quest to really deeply understand the martial art that people are like looking to you to teach them. So it makes you a more aware, smarter professional.
Yeah, and when you're doing those additional training sessions, like when you start, if I was just showing up and just coaching, like I could still get better at jiu-jitsu, just like teaching someone and answering questions and practicing and doing all of that, like within just the training room. But when I'm able to go out and have my own training sessions with the mindset of I'm doing this to prepare for a competition, or I'm doing this to get better at jiu-jitsu to prepare for this competition so I can then get even better at jiu-jitsu so that I can take that information, pass it down. I find the focus shifts to where I'm looking for these things that are making me better, and I'm honing in on those, and then I can take those, and this is where it translates to the other aspects of like the motivations and the goals, right? Where I can now take these things that are, all right, this has made me better at X, Y, or Z. I can take this training method or this drill or this game or,
that's right,
this technique was actually a really good thing. I can take those and I can build structure and take those and back to my class, and I can use those to coach them, now attaining the other aspect of the goal, right? So like that's why like competition's part of the pathway, not like, if the end goal is to be the best me, best coach, best athlete, best, the best I can be at this sport, I can use that competition to build those things. So, it gives me like direction.
Tangible things you can do differently. For example, like you're right. And just to give like people listening an example, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Let's say like we went to a tournament and hey, this happened to me at Worlds.
Yeah.
In my last match in the semis where I had about a minute left and I was in attack position. I could take this guy's back, and I drilled that lots and lots and lots of times, but I didn't pull it off. And yes, I was tired. Yes, I was fatigued. Yes, I was facing a very good opponent who was basically just had to exist. And even if I took his back, I needed to probably submit him as well. I don't remember what the points were exactly.
You needed more than just the back take. I think you needed it was either 6 or 8.
It was
more than 4.
Let's just say that. Yeah, right. So, but my purpose of saying that is like he just had like 45 seconds to survive. Like I had my work cut out for me, but this is a position I've been in. I failed at doing that. So, hey, takeaways could be, there's so many things you could take away from something. This is like a kind of like a thought exercise for people listening of like how we use competition to inform the day-to-day littlest of things, like structuring a practice.
Yeah. How
can I drill a back take differently where I have like 45 seconds, not just take the guy's back, but also choke him out? Like that's a little bit, so then that could tell me like I can manufacture a drilling and practice environment that puts me in a position to be better at executing. And so then when me and you go to coach a class, and if that's the subject matter of the class, well, guys, we've done lots of back mount drills in the past, but like turns out the back mount drills that we've been doing, I've been doing this, we have to take account for what we do right or wrong from our tournaments. And it's public and everyone sees it. That just comes with the job. So we wear our failures on our sleeve. It makes us better.
Yeah, it's just, hey, we maybe we weren't enjoying this correctly enough.
So we're going to audit that. Yeah. So the same thing that this is like, I've used a lot of times in my teaching for the last like 21 years, like an arm triangle. Like the way I've taught arm triangles now, the way I teach them now is way different than it was 15 years ago. It's the same move, it's the same anatomy of a human being's shoulder and arm and neck. The way I teach it is differently because I've learned more and more about it. And so with back mount in this example, like, I mean, we're going to go back to something we've done, but we're going to do it better now because we're more informed of like what needs to be done. Maybe the circumstances can be played around with a little bit, but like, hey, let's replicate this circumstance because I went and figured out that I fucked it up.
Quick sidebar. We were playing that game at the gym this week.
There you go, man.
Front headlock. 1 minute, score as many points as you can.
So there you go.
We literally played.
You're doing it.
Yeah, we literally played the game from what
we're putting ourselves right in the situation and be like, oh, let's work on it, guys. And like, if you're not if like, you can do jiu-jitsu without these specific scenarios that have, like, in our cases, very very vivid use cases.
Yeah.
And that's fine too, and you still get better. But maybe we interview a student sometime and ask them how much they value like a coach telling them like, hey man, I can tell you exactly why this matters. Here's why. Because you might need to do this just like I needed to do this one day. I think people respond to that. I think people appreciate that. And it maybe selfishly for us, it's like it's a good way for us to go in and solve our problems.
Yeah, well, yeah,
and make everyone solve our problems.
It's definitely make everyone solve.
Everyone solve this.
We're gonna solve my problems together.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that happens a lot more. So yeah, I mean, so that's kind of an example, right, for how we take our why, convert that into like a motivation and a goal, and then
it educates us
and how we work how we use that to create like a pathway to work towards this goal. And in this case, it kind of like spreads outwards because we're using that to hopefully help our students reach their goals. And that also allows us to direct our training and stay focused on the task at hand, in this case, like the goal, the task at hand. And so let's bring this back to like how this can work for the listener, right? So, we'll give you kind of an exercise for this in which like you can, we've already talked about finding why you do this. You can look back at what caused you to maybe even look at why you initially even looked at the jiu-jitsu gym. Mm-hmm. Then because why you looked at it might be a better instance than why you signed up, right? Like why you signed up may be that is the place that
it's right next to my house.
It's closest to your house, or, hey, it felt like this is the place that's going to fulfill my reason for wanting to do jiu-jitsu too. So, now that I've thought about it, that might be a better way to frame that. Why did you seek out jiu-jitsu in the first place? Mm-hmm. And then probably also why you fell in love with it, because why you signed up might be more on the other end of it,
Might
right?
be a little more practical.
That might be more practical, or it might be that, hey,
they gave me a great deal.
Or you just felt like that was the place that was going to help you, like,
hopefully it's a little more than the money, but
feed the why too, you know?
Yeah.
That might feed the why rather than be the why. But so, let's look back at that. Let's find and center in on what that why is, which we've already done. And then we'll take that why, we'll convert it into a goal and use that goal. And like, that's our motivation. Like, that conversion is the motivation. And then we start looking at, all right, well, how do I achieve the goal? In our case, the achieving the goal was, well, we're going to go out and we're going to compete and the training for that, and train for competition, compete, reevaluate, train for competition, compete, reevaluate. And that helps us reach that ultimate goal of getting better and better and becoming better at those aspects and those pillars that we want to get better at. For someone who has different goals, maybe that's not, it's going to be different, right? And so if your goal is, and we talked about the black belt, right? If your goal is to achieve, your current goal is to achieve black belt, then yeah, let's look at those things, right? You got to continuously show up. That's step one. So consistency. So we're going to consistently show up to training. We're going to attain knowledge. So we're going to need purpose for why we're training. So we're going to use the why and the goal to train, like, actually direct and be purposeful in what we're learning, so that we're not just like you're not just showing up to class. That's part of it. But we also need to be purposeful and like actively attaining knowledge and getting better. And then showcasing that we're better, and, just continue, so doesn't mean you have to compete to get black belt. Not every gym does that. Some might. They might be like, hey, I'd like to see you compete once. Maybe once at a belt. Who knows? But,
some places want you to coach a little bit if you're going to get a black belt.
Yeah, so start disseminating knowledge. Another is you're going to have to find out what your coach looks for in a black belt.
Yeah.
So, you'll have to figure out all of these things for yourself in some cases, but like, that's where inferring with your coach, because your coach will, if you tell them why you're doing jiu-jitsu, that will also,
they'll like that.
They'll like that. And it'll actually help them direct the path that they have, because belts are subjective, right? Like, there's not like, this is what you need to do, be blue belt. This is what you need to do purple belt. Like, there's not like a uniform thing. And so if you tell them why, and they can kind of see what your journey is, like, if you tell them why you're doing jiu-jitsu and what your goals are, they can almost set that path for you of like, well, here is how we achieve that. And then they can start helping you to direct your training. And in like my case, I have guys that I know that want to compete. So I have guys I know that just want to show up and train, right? They want to show up and do jiu-jitsu. There's guys that want to show up and just like learn. So they're not super worried about like applying it in any sense. There's guys that want to do jiu-jitsu, and they might have different applications they have in mind. Some just want to be able to do it in the gym. Some might want to be able to have something that's more applicable for self-defense, right? Or whatever. And so you can almost, for each individual person, you might have like your blanket framework blanket framing for the entire class. And if I know what someone's goals are, I can then, when we break out, go to that person like, all right, well, like, your goal's this. So, think of it this way. Or, try to, if your goal is competition, I might say, hey, like, if we're doing escape drills, I need you to escape to a position where you can now be on offense, where you can start to look to score. Whereas if someone is worried about self-defense, like, hey, let's just mitigate damage, right? Let's escape to a position where we're not going to get hurt. Like, it's your path, your direction for training changes based on what your goals are, right? Like, if you're worried about self-defense, you're not worried about points. So we're going to change your training methodology to be focused away from those things. Or well, less focused on scoring or whatever, right? So yeah, I mean, that's kind of a way to create that like path and direction.
You can all be in the room doing the same things, but done within the framework of what you individually want to achieve. Is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I guess like that, that helps you get out of, if you know why and what your goal is, you can get out of like just doing the boilerplate training session, right? Like it will make you get more from the training session.
Right. Yeah. I mean, thinking about these questions for the individual listening, I think it, like, to your point, like you've got your why and you've got some motivation because of your why, and then you have like a tangible goal, a semi-tangible goal associated with it. It makes you feel like you have a little more purpose behind the time you spend on the mat. So it's a little less aimless. It's a little less like just going through the motions, and it's a little more directed at, why are you doing this? What do we want to achieve out of this? Interestingly, like, what is jiu-jitsu? Jiu-jitsu is just the game. It's a martial art focused on controlling and submitting opponents. That's it.
Yeah.
Controlling and submitting opponents. That's the purpose of jiu-jitsu, is to be able to control them so you can tap them out. And when you go and compete, that's the good thing about the competition, is it's a game of doing that as best you possibly can against really good competitors who are trying to do that to you too. So back to what we were saying about like coaches who have that competitive awareness. And I say that because I think that just means you have to be able to understand that the purpose of the martial art in a more difficult setting. So if you understand that, and if you've kind of gained that wisdom from competing, when you go back and if you have another competitor, well, you can explain that to them. At the end of the day, you got to control and submit this guy. Yes, that's hard to do. That's why we have these drills. We're going to practice it. But to the guy who's like trying to do this for self-defense, you can attach that same, because that's just the purpose of the martial art. You can say self-defense comes from you getting better at controlling and being able to submit the opponent. Maybe you don't care as much about submitting the opponent. If you just want to apply self-defense, maybe just in a nasty situation in life, you just want to, like you mentioned in the last episode, the guy,
hold the guy down, hold the guy down. Cops.
Well, if you can control and submit the opponent, well, then holding them down becomes easy, because the control part's done. You got the control. Maybe you just want to use the control part, but you should also understand the submission part, because the better you get at submissions, also it just means your control is that good.
Yeah.
So just a way of your path of doing this in a competitive setting at the most difficult level of the martial art, controlling and submitting, makes you better at helping these other, perhaps not as intense versions of your goal, but still the same goal, do their job. And you can go in and frame a practice around stuff that helps the competitor, the self-defense guy, the brand new person who doesn't have any idea what they want to do just yet. They're all going to still get the same thing from the same practice that you've engineered because of the work you've done oriented towards your competition.
Yeah.
The lessons you've learned from your competition that informs you on how to make a better practice. Because it'll teach you, you're like, I know that I need a better practice because I fudged up that one thing 6 months ago or whatever. And like, I'm using that knowledge to make a better drill. That makes everyone better at controlling and submitting, including myself.
Yeah.
Not all these guys are going to go compete. But if they can control and submit a competitor in my practice, you bet your ass they can control and submit some bum they need to hold down until the cops arrive.
Yeah, the guy in the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of it. It's like, it's difficult to do and figure out, but like, you just got to think about these things. But it really does kind of come down to the lowest common denominator, which is, what is jiu-jitsu? Why are we doing it? And the reason why we compete is because we want to get the deepest level of understanding we possibly can out of it, to do our jobs as best we possibly can for as many people with diverse needs as possible.
Oh yeah, and as the students in the class too, like, and just in general, like if you have like the why and the goal, you can create like measurements of success, right? It's easier to tell, because we were talking about on the episode about unsticking your progress, right?
Yeah.
Like if you know, you'll also be less likely to get stuck if you know how to measure your progress, right? Like,
am I getting less stuck less often?
Like if you know what the goal is and you know why you're doing it, then it's going to be easier to like measure it, because you know why and like what the goal is. And so it's easier to see that progression, because you'll see the little tick marks.
And
right?
part of that is like our job as coaches when we do what we're describing here and taking that practice with that group of people and saying, hey, everyone, we're going to play this situational drill, a game, whatever the CLA, I think it's a games with it, but like nonetheless, like you tell them this is how we're going to play this game. Like I want, like the way you'll judge your performance is like, are you, okay, we're going to do this drill 10 times today. At the very beginning, you might find that like maybe the drills get out of side control, bottom side control. It might start off really shitty. You might find that you're not getting out of side control at all, but like by the 10th round, you might be tired. Maybe by like 6th or 7th round, like you should be trying to get out of side. You should be able to get out of side control a little bit more quickly, with less thinking. And then that's a tangible thing that, like you said, you can go to that person and say, can you measure success? Well, how did you do?
Yeah.
And if they're still having the problem, well, let's keep figuring out the problem. But that gives them a specific thing to look towards.
Yeah, exactly. And, in that case, it's like the micro goals that we've talked about on prior episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that keeps the training fresh and fun and like gives you like a little piece of the broader puzzle that gets you closer to the mastery that you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just keep building upon it and you keep stacking those things up.
And lo and behold, you do that for 10 years, you get your black belt.
You get your black belt. And
you teach a few white belts along the way how to do it, show the coach that you care about everyone else, not just yourself.
And then now you've achieved goal 1. Now you're going to pivot.
You'll have a new goal.
Create a new goal. And then you're going to have to start measuring your success differently.
But that's life. And that's the fun thing.
That's how it is.
Yeah, we evolve, man. And like, hopefully you're not the kind of guy who just like you hit one goal and then you're done. And you know what? I don't want to besmirch people with fewer ambitions, but
some people, they might do that. Like
they give up. And they're like, I did it. That's more power to
Jiu-Jitsu goal.
More power to
like, and then now you're like knack and you're on your side quests.
He's got like 50 other competitive goals.
Now you have a bunch of different martial arts you're trying to master.
One wasn't enough.
Yeah. And now he's trying to be a master in all of them all in the same year.
I mean, that's the case of a man who's continuing to do better and better, doing the best. He's definitely taken that I want to be the best I possibly can be to a high level. That's why he's such a good role model for our community because, winning world championships in jiu-jitsu wasn't enough. He's like, I got to do it in 3 sports.
Now I need to do it 3 sports all within one calendar
But that's a good example
year.
of a guy. Like, I mean, his accomplishments. I mean, you got a stack of medals on the wall in here, man. Like, one wasn't enough for you. No, like it's like
I'll need more walls. It'll never be enough.
I'm into that. Yeah, but that's a cool example. It's like these are the type of dudes you want to be around. You want to be around the people who just continue to keep pushing it.
Yeah,
that's because life is a series of games, and like the games in quotes, like could be martial arts, could be just part of it. Being a good dad. It's not a game.
I mean, I have a knot on the wall. I have a stack of medals from my brewing career.
There you go.
Like, it's what I need.
Like the quest
what I have to have.
It's the problem solving quest thing we talked about. Where it's like you just like be around people who just like constantly want to get better at shit, dude. That's just do that in life.
we'll do just a general episode on just competition in general, not specific. Like obviously, jiu-jitsu will be part of it.
Yeah,
but like
how could it not?
We'll add because like I'm learning like a million things about myself just as maybe we'll have John on to like psychoanalyze it as we talk. But like
I'll go deeper with that. Tell me my childhood roots.
That stack of medals in there from brewing. Definitely
telling you a story now, huh?
Exact same reason. And like exactly, it's
dude. It's
we'll
good,
do it.
Man.
We'll do the parallels and all of that
it's
on like a pure like competition because one of the topics we have in like our topic list is why compete. So I mean every episode is why you should compete. If you guys haven't figured that out yet,
it's a quest, man. It's like I think the Greeks called it arete, dude. It's like your personal virtue, man. You have to like keep pushing it, dude, in life.
Yeah, but
it's a good for you. It's good for the community. It's good for your kids. Good for your wife. It's good for everything.
It's good for everybody.
Michael getting better at everything is good for everyone, including
it benefits everyone for
it does.
Tons of different reasons.
That's right. That's right, man.
And so it's
but it's funny you mentioned that, but there's something valid about that I think is really good for this episode too, which is like what you said about how you're like this has taught me a lot about myself. Jiu-Jitsu does that.
Yeah.
What teaches you like? We've joked about how it's like we want to feel things. Like we don't compete. We don't like. It's true, man. Like this stuff, like it pulls deep from within you, man. To like go and continually put your sack on the line to get those fucking medals and get beat up on TV. Yeah, like or go ideally dish some fucking beatings on TV, right?
But like if you have the right like reason for doing it too, then like you're continuing, like you don't mind that, right? You know what I mean?
Of
like,
course.
there's people that there's this is it's
Dude,
okay.
let
It's
it
the
out.
end of the
Let it
episode.
out.
We'll do it. It's the end of the episode. We can dish however much we want.
Yeah.
But so like there's people that don't think they get value out of a competition if they don't have like a million matches in that one comp, you know, and which is fine. Like I get it, money's worth, whatever. But I think, I mean, one match, even if it's $150 for that one match, is worth so much more than $150 a month.
I agree.
At a gym.
I agree.
I mean, obviously, like you need both things, but like you need that $150 a month gym membership to make that,
to put yourself in a position
to make it worth it.
Yeah.
Like if you're just doing the competition, you don't have the gym part. it doesn't help.
Well, that's what we go back.
Maybe in some.
I know what you're saying. Well,
I
guess goes back to what we talked about with like investing in this sport because you know the value you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, and if you don't find value in the competition, then
don't
help you achieve.
Yeah, then don't do it. This isn't the right thing for you.
It's just not helping you achieve your purpose for doing jiu-jitsu. That's what that means, and that's fine. If you don't find value in competition, it means that it's not helping you achieve your goals within the sport. And if it's not helping you achieve your goals in the sport, then
just think about what your goals within the sport are.
Then that thing isn't.
It's not for you.
It's not for you. That's fine. The sport can still be for you, but obviously competition is not. It's not helping you achieve your goal. Right. That's perfectly fine. And I don't know, any of my guys who are listening, I know I push competition on everyone, but like I'm okay with it if you don't compete. Right. You're still going to do competition camps with that when everyone else is competing, but you'll still gain the benefit of everyone else competing.
Some of the benefits.
Yeah, you'll still
not as many as the competitors, but that's okay.
And you'll still get the back end.
We still appreciate you.
I mean, they're still doing. They're helping. They're helping too. And they're still going to get better because we're all going to get better together.
Correct.
But yeah, so. Before this turns into just a rant, let's sum it up a little bit here, right? So we talked about finding your why. We've summed this up a few times every time we added the next thing, but your why is the core aspect. That's why you started jiu-jitsu. That's why you continue to do jiu-jitsu. That's that is the driving force. That's the main plot point, right? Mm-hmm. Your goal is whatever it is that you're trying to attain to help you fulfill your why. And the motivation is kind of the thread that ties those things together. Your motivation is what is directly related to both of them. And then you just need to find a way to use those to direct your training so that you are able to stay focused and achieve your goals and fulfill your why. And so if you continuously do that, then, you'll be able to keep showing up on the mats. You'll get better at jiu-jitsu for sure. You'll be able to continue progressing. You'll be able to measure your success on the mats and you'll just enjoy it more.
You will enjoy it more.
You'll enjoy it more and you'll find it a lot easier to keep going too. Just from experience, we talked about it, but from experience, like even on days that you don't feel like going or you feel like, I don't know if I want to train today. And then all you have to do is think about like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes it a lot easier to go and train.
Because you're
like, you know what, dude, I get it. It's, today's a nice day, but like, if it's a shitty day out and like you just slogged through, I trained, essentially, 2 times a day on the mat, 1 time a day in the gym. And like, if I just slogged through my first training session and then I slogged through the gym session and like, I felt like a shitty workout. Right. And not because like my battery's low. I just I don't know, whatever reason. It makes it a hell of a lot harder to go to the, like you get home and you eat and then you're like, oh, it'd be really easy to not drive back to the gym. And it's like, well, that doesn't make me better. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So it'll just help you with those moments. And it'll just help you keep progressing, keep getting better. So, it's just like anything in life, right? If you have a goal and you know why you're doing it, it's just going to be easier to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll close it out with the Yoda quote since we've talked about it multiple times. Because remember that this also is applicable here. Just this, we'll shoehorn it in. Because if it's scary, it means you probably should do it. Don't be scared, because fear is the path to the dark side.
Yes.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. So it's kind of the same thing as the Frederick Douglass quote.
It's very similar.
And knowing that Star Wars was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away means that Frederick Douglass plagiarized Yoda.
Oh, shit. Oh, no.
So yeah, guys, don't be stagnant. Don't be afraid. Know your why. Keep doing jiu-jitsu. Keep getting better. And if you want to watch us keep getting better, support the show by going to www.fdcpodcast.com. On there, you can find, we have weekly blog posts that expand on the topics on every episode. We have a newsletter that goes out every month. We might expand that frequency, but for now it's every month. You can sign up there. That'll keep you up to date. It'll give you summaries of all the FDC content that we put out each month. There's also a way to leave us reviews, ask us questions, leave us voicemails, and also if you would like to support the show even further, which we'd love, you can also get to our Patreon through our website, and there's even more perks and content there. So show us some love, guys, because we love you. Thank you. Bye.